Hi, my name's Sean Taylor. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek, and apparent podcast regular now. Theo is right below me over there. Welcome back for the Team Avatar Fighting Tournament, the championship game. The big game.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Team Koruk versus Team Aang. And Chris, I don't know if you have anything you want to introduce or say before we get started.
Nope. It's the final round. Hope it's a good matchup. I'm honestly not sure how it's gonna carry out, but we got the top two teams from each division, Chip, and we'll see how they do.
Is it fair to say that none of us thought this far ahead? Like I didn't think this far ahead. Try to be on purpose, right?
I did not think this far ahead either. This is going to be pretty entertaining.
I wanted it to
I
feel
might
spur
not.
of the moment. Well, awesome. Hey, Theo, thanks for coming back one more time. We appreciate now, and we'll appreciate it when you come back later and argue with Chris about Aang and Korra or whatever. And that'll be a lot of fun. But for the interim, let's get started. Chris, tell us who our first matchup is. Our first
All
one-on-one
right, first
matchup.
matchup of the Team Korg versus Team Aang. We're gonna start off fiery with Mako
Wrong
versus.
group.
You're
Zuko.
right, my bad. I meant Zuko. I
There we
completely
go.
missed it. Zuko versus Aeron. And you know what? For me, we just had Mako versus Rangi, and we had the Rangi versus Heiron fight. I forgot who we had win that, but that doesn't really matter. To me, those two are so evenly matched, but they also both have the same flaw, that they don't really aren't that familiar with lightning bending, and Heiron is even less experienced with lightning bending. So I don't know what you guys think.
But the thing
Actually,
here. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
technically, Heiron would be more experienced because there was that one lightning bender. If you do you recall that in the book, there was one lightning bender. It was like he was like the leader of a gang. He did have the ability to lightning bend. It was like a super 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 rare thing, and he was
Well,
about Heiron's
Rangi.
age.
Oh, was it? Yeah, maybe.
Hope I'm not making that up in my head. But yeah, that
Oh, wait. You know what though? You're right. She would know about it more than Rangi would,
yeah,
probably because she's a little more higher ranked. Because the whole reason why they didn't kill Zhu Peng, I think was his name,
was that the
is
guy's name?
because
Yeah,
yeah, because Kyoshi fought him. The whole reason why they didn't kill him because the Fire Nation wanted to learn how he can lightning bend.
that's right.
And so that's why they kept him alive and everything instead of just killing him because he's you would think they would kill 'cause he's the head of the Yellow Neck army,
Hmm.
which probably would be more. No, so that being said, I'm not sure she would have a way to combat the lightning bending.
You know,
I don't think so.
I don't either, and I think that we talked a lot about Zuko. At least one of the points that I liked the best was Zuko's got, Ozai, Azula, Iroh. Like he learned fire bending from the dragons. Whatever, like tactile, formal training Heiron has, like Zuko has it too. Feels. I'm not easy by any stretch. I'm sure it'd be a pretty fun fight, but I can't see that there's much that she would know that Zuko wouldn't at Zuko's peak.
To me, like say last one, she has the same issue as Rangi. Uh, so my dang it, wait? Why
Zuko.
am I?
You're
I am.
thinking
Oh my
well.
gosh,
That's
I
the other
am
thing is Zuko is
freaking.
really not going to be flinging the lightning, right?
Wait, holy crap, guys! I am sorry. I keep getting stuck
It is one
on
sixteen
Mako.
a.m.
No,
Central Time right now. Just
it's
throwing it up.
12:16.
Twelve
It's 12,
sixteen.
12 16
Yep,
Central.
you're right.
What are you talking about? What
Apparently
are you talking about, Sean?
wrong
Anyway,
stuff.
sorry. Holy crap. Let me reconfigure my brain. Team Aang versus Team Cork. Team Cork. I'm taking Heiron over Zuko because I would have taken Rangi over Zuko. To me, these are two of probably the top six. If we're talking about just fire, these are probably the top five. Like if I take a top five, well, that's episode of the zone. But I would put Rangi and Heiron in the top five of fire benders. Like how many Agni Kai she has in the academy growing up. Like Zuko, he wasn't that great. I thought he did beat Zhao in the Agni Kai.
I'm I'm
Zhao
taking
was, yeah.
I'm taking Zuko just also. Well, I'm taking because I think it's the right pick, but also I'm going to do it soon. So now Theo has to break the tie.
Nice.
Um,
Trying to put him on the spot.
I definitely think Heiran is way more brutal than we kind of think. So I'm going with her. I don't think Zuko could kind of overcome kind of the measured brutality. Like
Mm.
like Zhao was brutal, but Zhao was also just like not very disciplined.
Yeah. And
And
also, Zhao got his master title. Oh, yeah, like you said, he wasn't disciplined. Zhao got his
right,
master title from being high-ranking official, not necessarily from
right,
actually mastering
right.
firebending.
Yeah, and I just think that Heiran is like way more measured. She's calculated, but also she's just burning folks. And I just don't think. I think it would be a very, very, very close match because they both have the right training. And like you said, Sean, I think that Zuko has like the best teachers available, literally of his time period. So I think it's going to be up there, but I think overall the brutality might shift a little bit. So I'm going to go with Heron.
There's a
Yeah.
reasonable
Like if I
chance
think
that this would be
about,
the most fun fight, like just from fan
Oh yeah,
brutality
yeah,
perspective.
yeah. I agree.
if I think about their notoriety, Hadon was like when Tagaka the Pirate Queen was talking about the three of them, she was like, "You brought me three of the deadliest killers in the world." And like you come speaking of peace and you bring these three?
Right?
Like Zuko doesn't have that same esteem. No one's like
No.
cowering that someone brought Zuko to a fight. They're like, "Oh, you brought Zuko to a fight. Okay. I might lose, but I'm not cowering in fear."
Yeah, I'd like you might get beat up from Zuko, but you're not gonna die. Like
Yeah. You're
Heron's
not
gonna
gonna
kill
get
you.
yeah. You're at
Heron's like, no,
least
your life's
fighting
over.
Hadon, you're at least walking away with a lifelong injury that you will tell your grandkids about.
Right.
Great match. I think that'd be a lot one that I would want to watch.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Chris,
So that is Team Cork is up one.
yeah,
Next we'll go to
Jonju
Earthbending.
and
Yeah.
Tom.
Earthbending.
Jonju. Holy crap. Jonju versus Toph. Ooh.
I
Oh
want to
wow.
I want to take this one first. I
Go
think
ahead.
Oh wow.
I think that Jonju going against Toph plays more to Toph's weaknesses than the other examples that we looked at. I think Jonju is the
Interesting.
perfect type of tactician to say use projectiles as a weakness or not be surprised even by metal bending maybe. Like you could convince me that he wouldn't be surprised. That's the part where I'm having the hang up is how do you get past the metal bending? But it's like I just think that if there's a sort of tactician to exploit Toph's weaknesses, it would be Jonju over the other options that we've discussed today.
So I think this is very odd because in my mind, Janju is such a great tactician. I feel like he'd be able to figure out that Toph has seismic sense. And I don't think other Earthbenders when they fight Toph, I don't think that they know what's going on a
He
lot
sees
of
a
times.
blind girl who's a good fighter, and he's going to be like, she
she
knows I'm
she got
here.
some stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, there's something else happening with this person. So I think his first move would be how do I exploit that, which
Holy crap, yeah.
which could just basically take her out, basically.
But
Hey,
Um, yeah,
if the Avatar fandom, all of them knew about Jeonju, they would, I think, rethink about just how strong Toph is. Often, a lot of them are like, "Oh, Toph destroys everybody," but like Jeonju, dude is different. Like
yeah.
I think he might be the top strategist in the whole entire Avatar universe. But no, I'm guaranteeing that
Over Azula.
over Azula. Because he had to play political games also. Like
Oh, yeah,
not
that's
not
true.
just like
That's true.
I took over the Dai Li, which was great.
He
You took over the Dai
set you up
Li.
for failure. He creates the bad matchups.
Yeah.
Hey, he's
Like
Palpatine.
Yeah,
oh yeah. Yeah. But man,
which makes
so
Kyoshi his
Sean,
daughter.
wait.
What?
Oh,
Sorry.
that's so dumb. But if you think about like all there's so much incest going on in Star Wars.
My
Like,
God.
why does Rey and I forgot the stupid name. Like they're actually related if you think about it,
Yeah,
because
I try not to.
technically Palpatine used the Force to impregnate Anakin's mom and get I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's like that stuff is like canon if you look deep enough. Like, I don't know. Anyway, uh, um, so you both have Jianju winning.
You know, I haven't decided yet because I still can't
I don't
decide
know
how
if
to
I
get
decided.
over the metal bending.
It's
I,
so hard for
I don't know how to get
so,
past the metal bending, but I think if there was one person, when I think of metal bending beating Bolin, right, it's like the speed, like she's just gonna clasp him up before he does
Mhm.
anything. But like, is throwing a bullet faster than getting clasped by like cramped up? Like, is this match over in seconds and it just whoever gets off the first shot? Maybe, I don't know.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay, just
give me Janju.
man.
I'm going for it. Give me Janju. I think that he would just be like unsurprised that she could. He's never surprised by anything anybody does.
That's true.
Spirit monsters and stuff. He's seen it all.
Okay, I'm gonna also go with Jianju.
Okay.
But my angle is that I think he's going to figure her out and dismantle that way.
That's
I don't think he has an answer for metal bending.
that
I don't.
projectile thing, man. That's gonna be his.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think he would know how to combat against the metal bending, but I do think he would be like, okay, this is her thing. I'm gonna dismantle that and I'll take her down from the ground up.
He
the thing
gets
is,
off
it's
the
almost
ground before he
like
senses. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
like if I think about Toph metal bending, it's almost like a separate element. And do I think Jianju could handle someone bending water? Like could he beat a regular not regular, a really strong bender who could bend water and earth? Probably.
The scenario
Like
I'm crafting in my head right now is that when he figures out that she has seismic sense very early, and he gets off the ground, and then it doesn't really matter what kind of bending Toph uses. He finds a way to get up off the ground and fire projectiles or whatever before
things
metal
you
bending.
have one person. Toph isn't a strategist, and you have a strategist. And my mind all usually goes to that the strategist would win in a fight. And if I consider Jianju to be the greatest strategist and one of the strongest benders in the world, it's hard to see him losing really against anyone.
Yep.
I agree.
So yeah, so I had to go with Jianju,
The only
which
thing I don't like about this is that does make it 2-0 at this moment.
it does. It makes it 2-0. Part of me, part of me was like, oh, we should make this more interesting and have Toph win to make it more interesting. Anyway,
Listen, I voted
yeah,
Zuko. I tried, man. Chris, which avatar are you picking first?
which avatar? Which avatar is the least fun matchup?
I think there's
let's
an obvious answer that's less
okay. You
interesting.
you pick because I picked last time and it ended in an anticlimax way. So you pick this
Okay, but
matchup.
it's kind of the same scenario, Chris, where I think we need to do the climactic one before the anticlimactic one.
Yeah, do the wait. Just do whichever one.
We're gonna talk Kuruk versus Katara. No.
Ooh,
sorry,
Kuruk,
no, that's the one we're saving. I just did myself backwards. No, we're saving that one. We're doing Aang versus Kelsang. Sorry, I ruined it.
Aang versus
This is the big one. This is the fight that you came to see. This is the headliner in my mind.
Aang versus Kelsang. Kelsang?
so.
Is that
I
how
always say Kelsang. I don't really know, to be
I think it's
honest.
Kelsang.
I think we looked at Google
Um,
Voice we Googled it one time to see the one he was named after, the person he was named after. And we listened to that. I think it was Kelsang, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. So, man, Aang versus Kelsang. So we're talking about Typhoon, Tornado, Kelsang
Yeah.
here, right?
That
versus
same
Aang
one.
who can cool off a volcano.
That's
Yep.
really what it is to me is can Aang using like similar arguments that we talked about with say Tenzin kind of get through or survive through Kelsong's large, magnificent displays of airbending violence.
Okay, so this is interesting because like okay, I'm always thinking about the person's mental state and like their emotions, right? So, but Aang is like the biggest person when it comes to like his emotional state almost sways how good he is gonna perform in a fight. And let's say hypothetically speaking, you have Aang peak pistivity, right? Okay, so he's mad and he's really confident in what he's about to do, and he's able to cool down a volcano, and he's up to that type of feat. This is kind of weird to say, but I feel like it doesn't take Kelsong to get that emotionally compromised for him to create a typhoon, tornado, hurricane situation. Like he just like lives there. He's just already in a space where he's capable of doing that type of bending. And I think Aang needs to kind of get revved up a little bit to kind of get those kind of big feats. And also, I feel like their bending is different. I feel like there's a more of a purity with Kelsong than there is with Aang. That sounds really weird to say, but Aang, Aang is a playful type of bender. There's more of problem in my head. The older you get with the monks, the in my mind, the more mysterious airbending gets, and I feel like
Mhm.
there's a different way of airbending that we kind of just don't take into account. And I'm kind of leaning towards. I don't have a final verdict yet, but I'm kind of leaning towards Hellsong here a little bit.
All right. So
It's tough.
you know
Jeez.
the feat we often talk about with Kelsong is that he blew freaking ships away. The thing, his intentions with that wasn't necessarily to kill them all. It was just, oh,
Mhm.
you blow ships away from being in this harbor and stuff. Uh, and but they just happen that they rock over and stuff, and people drown to their deaths.
I hope, you
but
know.
his intent, but if I think about that being one of his strongest feats, would that have affected Aang? I don't think so. Aang would be able to fly straight through it. It wouldn't.
Mhm.
I don't think it would uh, inconvenience Aang that much. He's not a big. Those ships are very um, very vulnerable to that specific attack because they're ships. They can't maneuver. They can't do it. They're just at the mercy of his wind. But Aang is not at the mercy of his wind. And I think Aang can be a little bit of a mad genius. I think his
Yeah.
I think this fight will be the longest drawn out fight there is. Because neither one of them delivers like the heaviest of blows. I think Aang has a couple more attacks that are pretty. Oh, Aang actually has been shown to be able to like throw tornadoes at people. Um, like threw a tornado, a small little tornado at Fire Lord Ozai in his match. But also, Aang has that one attack I mentioned before where he like does this gust that's very. I feel like it's a very tight thing of wind. I think Aang can outlast Kelsung and win, especially as adult Aang, which was his peak, and we did get to see him be somewhat of a better bender. Um, his air scooter was giant. Um, I just think he has the skills to evade enough that I guess I didn't necessarily see with Kelsung. And but I also think he has skills to get through Kelsung's uh, larger attacks because air is one of those things that if you kind of get through the seams and stuff, you can avoid like the strongest of it. And I think Aang will be able to do that. Some to how Jianzhu was able to get that tiny bit through there just right and get Kelsung, which I feel like Aang wouldn't be able. He's not delivering the killing blow, but Aang will be able to evade the bigger attacks, which aren't might not be that impactful to Aang. And also, I think he'll be able to outlast him. So I'm good with Aang. Even though I think when
So
I initially looked at this, I was going with Jianju. I think Aang can outlast him.
you had mentioned about the mad genius thing, and it reminded me of one really really cool thing that pretty much no one ever talks about. In book two of ATLA, there is the big fight between Zuko, Katara, and Aang and Azula, right? And I
Mhm.
think it is when Azula and Aang are going one on one, and
Yeah.
Aang
I
does
think it's
this.
against.
Who is it? Is that against Zuko? I
I
can't
think
remember who.
it's against Zuko because he gets thrown. I know what you're talking when he does like a shadow project of
Yes,
yeah, that
I
was
think
really
he
cool.
runs and then stops,
Yeah, he
and then
goes
his
and then
projection of his shape of his
yeah,
body in air form goes out.
yeah.
That
No,
is a
that's yeah.
very mad genius like kind of way of thinking. Yeah, you bring up some really good points there. That's pretty good.
I haven't got to break a tie yet. I don't think so. I'm pretty excited though. I do think that I'm going to go with Aang, and I'm going to say that I think that if there was something that really plays in Aang's favor that hasn't helped him a whole lot so far, but I think it would help him here. It's just that speed and agility, or if there is somebody who could say find a way to cut through sort of large, powerful displays of bending, that it feels like it would be Aang. And I'm gonna take that chance, and I'm gonna say I think Aang would prevail. I think he would find a way in one-on-one combat to chip away, as Chris said, and maybe the longest fight that we've discussed so far.
For some reason,
So I'm
to
really
go
leaning.
against Sung, but he's a big fellow. I don't think he's as I might just be doing assumptions there, but I get the sense that he's not as quick as Aang.
It could be
That's
an
true.
age thing, like we see, but yeah, we can't just like, hey, every air nomad's like a quick, light, speedy fella. Like, no, there's
Hmm.
Yeah,
big guys and small guys, and I interpreted
or so
Kelsang as a
not. I
big
mean,
guy.
Tenzin wasn't shown to be as fast and swift as Aang
He
was.
was
Like
displayed as
Aang,
a bigger human, as a tall guy, I
yeah,
think.
like
Hmm.
Aang was like running around and stuff. Uh, he's probably the one airbender I've seen use his speed the most.
And
Yeah,
I think that would help him here. And so
I'm
at
going
least
with
enough so to
Aang.
pick him. Yeah, I'm going with Aang. And that puts us at Team Kuruk has 2, Team Aang has 1. And I picked that one on purpose. And then the last matchup here then is Kuruk versus Katara.
You know what though is interesting about this fight is that there are more feats that I can tangibly look at for Katara than Korok, but I'm I just can't imagine Katara being a stronger bender than Korok, the way that Korok was held in such high esteem. I don't know.
I
I don't know. Maybe I can be convinced
I
otherwise.
think the only thing you could come up with is just sheer sample size, but from the lore that they place around Kuruk and his innate uh, skills, again, as we mentioned earlier, not just in bending, but in everything. Right? He's a tactician, he's a fighter, he's an athlete. Um, I I feel like we could talk a long time, but I feel like it'd be doing too many mental gymnastics to pick Katara over Kuruk. So I'm picking Kuruk.
I don't like there's so much talent that Kuruk has that is a little like it's just a little too much. Not that Katara is untalented. I mean, she's pretty talented, but I just think that
Mhm.
you're going up against someone that is kind of jack of all trades, but is kind of a master of each of those trades. And I just kind of think
They
Kuruk would.
And
the way they
in
present him is
Katara's,
just like is like an unmatched like innate skill. But there
Yeah,
again, just it's not just in the bending, right? In
yeah,
in,
but
in
it's
tact
yeah.
and they show that to be like he was a waste of an avatar.
and in
Like we like he was so good at these things and he died at 33.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like
the fact that they portray his like skill in combat, and there again, it's not that Katara's unskilled in combat, but like that's literally a call out feature of Korik's character. I don't know how you propose a great argument against that.
in Katara's favor, she 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 can be a tactical thinker, but she defeated Azula in a tactical manner. I don't think she'll be able to do the same. Like it's a different matchup. Like you can't freeze Quirk; he will just unfreeze himself.
Yeah.
Like it's and like she doesn't have. I don't think she has the strong enough attacks to. Quirk was a huge man.
Yep.
I wish we could
one of the
have
greatest.
witnessed a Kuruk, a sort of earnest Kuruk Agni Kai, whatever the non-firebender version of an Agni Kai is.
He used to challenge firebenders and well, okay, but he was a firebender. He could challenge them.
Yeah, but like it would be fun to have that as part of our empirical evidence, I guess. But
it's I just can't imagine Katara. I'm looking at a picture of her right now, but she's such a great fighter. She's so
she giving you those eyes, like, how you gonna do me like this, guys? I'm not gonna give you
it's sorry, Katara fans.
It's the right choice.
Yeah. And some of you might be like, "Oh, well, Katara can bloodbend." She doesn't bloodbend. That's not.
She doesn't bloodbend, and this fight's not going to take place during the full moon.
Yeah,
and even if it did take place during the full moon, you're going to have also a heightened Kuruk. Right?
Exactly. And at that point, you might as well add Avatar State to it, and then it's just overkill.
Yeah. That being said, so at least I can't decide which was like less anticlimactic, but at least we didn't get the 3-0 sweep first, right? That's what I was trying to avoid.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That being said, would your answer change? Like if it tied somewhere, if we picked another answer somewhere else, what would your tiebreaker answer be in an all-out brawl?
Tiebreaker answer. So like, say if I had Heyron losing to Zuko.
Yeah, if that had gone.
Yeah, that would have been the one. Man, maybe I should have told that just to make it. But I gotta be truthful with stuff.
No, I think we did it right. I think it ended right, but I just like asking the question.
Yeah, all out brawl. Oh, there's so much between those 4 benders on Team Quirk, just wrecking stuff up. Like, if you add chaos to it, and also those 4 were like tight. They were really tight. They're going to work off of each other.
They feel like the ensemble comedy cast of like great benders.
Yep.
There's no weak spot there that I'm looking at the list. There's no.
Yeah. And that's what makes their story so interesting.
Heyron,
they underachieved.
Heyron over Zuko was gonna be like, if Zuko had been or Heyron, like in my mind, like that was like maybe the best option for balance, but we even decided like Heyron over Zuko. So if we're saying that, just there's not enough on the others. There's not enough giant. What do you call it, Chris? Chaos, like just giant, massive, world-ending chaos.
Yeah.
For Aang to overcompensate.
Like, and then you have Jianju strategizing with all 4 of them. Like he's gonna match them up, not necessarily by element, but be like, hey, Kelsung, you go take.
Yeah, that's true.
You go take so and so. You take so and so. At this point, you 2 jump on this one, will throw them off and do this and do this. And they might even they're so close, they might not even have to like have that much conversation in these things. So you have the world's greatest strategist using 4 of the world's greatest benders against really, a lot of these we only know them in their peak when they were teenagers, and it just wouldn't.
If Zuko could produce lightning and
that would switch stuff up.
And Toph could lava bend. I'm trying to think of like things that would change the actual field, right? Like change
if Katara had Yakone levels of bloodbending
and would use it, yeah. So if you like shake it up real hard to something that could like shift the whole field, maybe. But then
on the bright side here, we have the Avatar State, and
Aang's Avatar State.
Aang's Avatar State would be slightly stronger.
So I'm just gonna go on a whim here. Aang's Avatar State, in my opinion, is the strongest Avatar State we've seen. And it's
actually wrong, but okay.
I would think
I'm not kidding,
that if we throw in Avatar State, it's In this particular scenario, it's game over. It's Team Aang.
I think Korok once wrecked like an island, didn't he? He once wrecked
No, that
some
was
type of
Roku.
large.
Wasn't that Roku?
No, Korok once wrecked this like area of a. It was. I mean, it was a huge freaking area because Kyoshi went there. She's like, "This is what
Oh,
happens when
yeah.
you
It
like
was it
can't control
was
yourself," something like that.
it was an entire island. Yes, you're right. It was a whole
Yeah,
island. Roku
and
damaged like
then
a building.
Nice job,
but
Roku.
even then, at this point,
Come back next
you
week
have
to see
Gian-
Avatar Roku versus Avatar Zito.
The most
But I still
boring
think
fight in the world.
with Jianju being the strategist he is, and knowing the Avatar state in and out, and having Korg on his side, he might be able to outmaneuver that. Like, if you think about the way that Korra lost to Unalaq, it wasn't. It might have been because he was stronger than her, because he had Vatu, who was massive in power. But part of that was some strategy, because if you notice, Korra uses the tentacle attack. It's funny because she learned that from Katara. Like, it's the same as that thing Katara uses. He was able to get in her, and once he was in that range, he was able uh, to take Rava out. It was a tactical thing. They were pretty close in skill. I mean, they were pretty close in power. But when you start talking about tactics, an Avatar gets an Avatar. But when you have Janjo on your side, you can then maybe get some better coaching. And there's no strategist on on Aang's team Avatar that can match. It'll make it adding the Avatar state complicates things, but I can see Janju's leadership and tactician skills pulling them through.
Mhm.
No Avatar state, it'll be like, I don't know. It could be bad for Aang's Team Aang.
I wouldn't say just because of Janju, but I think even Avatar stated there's just a little bit too much of the weak link on Team Aang to overcome everything that they'd be up against. But didn't come to that. We had a 3-1. I don't think we used a
3-1.
tiebreaker.
We didn't. We didn't have any.
Did we?
The thing is,
Did we use the very first one? Did we use a tiebreaker? No, we did not. Nope, we did not.
Did we do Korra versus Team Kuruk? Sorry, did I?
We did not.
They did not.
That's like
That
the
would be
only
the-
matchup we didn't do. Let's do it real quick. Because they never had to fight, because they just never got to it.
So I
let's
feel
see.
like that's the marquee matchup on these teams, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
That's thing is, it's kind of, you got matchup issues, right? Like, Korra didn't match up as well with Team Aang, but she does
Right.
match up better against Team Korok. Like,
Right.
Mako beats Heiron, I think, because of lightning bending. Bolin would probably still lose to Jianju.
Janju's gonna outsmart Bolin.
Oh god.
Wait a minute. Let's stop right there. So this lava bending thing is a problem.
No, he's done
It
before
is.
that. Same with Toph. It's done
Oh yeah,
before
okay.
he gets
Wait,
that out.
I see what you're saying. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And then
At
you
least
got,
it's not like definitive, but if he can do it to Toph, he can do it to Bolin. Is what I'm getting.
yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, I think so. And also, Bolin is dumber than.
Yeah.
That's bad.
He's not
Same-
as quick-witted as Toph.
Yeah, like Toph is a prodigy.
Yeah.
Bolin, I would not consider to be a prodigy. Like,
Mhm.
Toph invented technically three sub elements, like seismic sense, truth seeking, and metal bending. Like, she's a freaking earth bending genius,
All right,
and
so
Bolin is not.
Janju over Bolin, but Mako over Heiron.
Yeah. Airbending wise, Tenzin versus Kelsung, that's interesting. I would probably take Kelsung because Tenzin doesn't have like the skills that Aang had to beat Kelsung.
I would say Kelsung.
I'll
I'm
probably-
taking Kelsang as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, so now we get to Avatar versus Avatar and Waterbending, which we haven't had any chance to
We
do.
haven't
None
had
of them were the
interesting.
same.
It is
Yeah.
keep in mind it's 2-1.
Ooh man, this is
2-1 correct at the moment.
So
I'm taking Korra. Because
This is a really well matched fight. Because again with Kuruk, he's the best of his time. He's the best hunter. He's the best show player. He's the best uh, fighter, essentially
Best
overall.
waterbender.
Best waterbender. I think this is a very close match. I don't think this is like a clear cut thing per se. Uh, Cora here. Here's the thing about Cora. I think her weakness is she's LeBron James in before the Miami days.
We went
She
all episode without a bad. We had to bring it in somewhere. It went too long.
she doesn't think things through all the way, all the time. But I do think she's the better fighter, right? I think she could probably well.
Cora probably has better hands
I
than
disagree.
Yes.
And it's
like
Yeah.
Kuruk. One thing that Kuruk has in his favor is that the only things that we have like presented about him are all in favor of him being really good in exactly this situation, right? We don't have enough of the details to present. That's something in Kuruk's favor, but I disagree. I don't see anything that would suggest that in a waterbending fight that Kuruk wouldn't have just as much innate great waterbending ability or tactile thought process as Korra. I would pick Kuruk.
Yeah.
I would pick Cora. Cora is so with reason why I couldn't pick Katara over Korra because I couldn't think of any feats that were that great.
Right,
But Cora
right.
has a lot of
Lot.
feats
There's a ton.
that are really good. Of like, man, Katara's never done anything close to that, and I just can't. I would have to be completely. I don't know. I just Korra has just a lot of feats in waterbending without the Avatar state that are really freaking epic. Like taking on a mecha suit with a what 20-story, 40-story mecha suit with waterbending ice. You know, her
But
projectiles.
Kura could do that. He would be able to do that. He would think to do that too.
There's just
That's
nothing.
my
There's
hang-up.
nothing that points
I
to like
think-
Kuruk being like having a weakness for us to point out. You know, there's nothing that we can point at Kuruk and be like, well, he was notoriously bad at this specific thing, or like he was good at everything. Is all we ever get to hear about him. And in this case, it kind of plays in his favor.
I think he probably could do those things. I just know for a fact that Korra can do those things. And I knew that Katara. I've never seen Katara do any of those things that Korra has done. So it's way easier for me to take Korra over Katara
Mhm.
than it is for me to take like hard evidence for Korra over Korra. And Korra's a tactician too that people don't give enough credit for. Like she does a lot of stuff in fights. Like her fight versus here, she froze his leg so he would be weighed down and not weightless. When she was like stuck in this trap when dang it, Tarlok. When Tarlok had her trapped, she purposely lifted her leg so she wouldn't be electrocuted. In certain fights, when she's like fighting in her firebending training, you can see her setting up moves. Like she throws like when she's fighting like those three firebenders, she kicks one just to knock him off. She then jumps and leaps and throws a feint, not like just a little jab, the same thing as a jab to this one bender, and he has to block it. And then she comes in for a firebending punch. She is far more of a tactician than people give her credit for.
True.
Like in actual fights, and and she has really great hand to hand fighting, which I just don't know if Kuruk has hand to hand fighting like Korra does.
Mhm.
And I would wager that Korra probably is stronger than Korra, but Korra is freaking strong for for like think how much like she once grabbed a man by his arms in episode 1, threw him about what 10 yards into a building with no bending. It's just there's just more to me factual, tangible things I can point to that Korra being strong, and I don't have as much evidence with Korra the other way.
I am honestly kind of at a draw between these two in my head right now. I can't put one over the other. The only thing I'm drawing on is that Korra tends to not think things through big picture all the time. Um,
So I think
but
that's more so book one. I think
yeah,
if you
that
look
is
at
book
like book
one.
three, if I was like, oh, book one, Korra versus what we know about Korra, I would probably take Korra. But I think book three Korra is like way not way more, but she's more patient, and
Yeah. Yep.
she fought
Yep.
to here chained up with with nothing but fully chained. She was doing a lot of airbending there.
Korra
Like
fought
her
a spirit for a very long time.
true, and we haven't gotten to the Avatar state talk because in this case they're both waterbenders.
Yeah.
Um, and to me,
So
I'd take Korra's
let's.
Avatar state easily. But
Well, I was gonna say, so for the sake of argument, if we wanted to just to have the last question be the tiebreaker for funsies, right? So let's say that either Theo or myself switched our votes to Korra,
Mm.
just to have the tiebreaker argument. Then how does that one? How does that
okay,
one look?
so we have the same chaos that goes around, right? That we spoke about in the last one because those four freaking gigantic benders.
But what we get different
I
in this
and
one,
then
what we get
I'm not
different in this one is those other elements, those missing pieces that we felt like Team Aang
mhm,
was missing. But
what's missing. Yeah,
now you do
you have
have
lightning
lightning bending. Now
bending,
you do have
you have
lava
lava
bending.
bending.
You have Tenzin, who is at least gonna provide a very adequate power match for Kelsong, and then you're left with
Mm-hmm.
two water bending avatars. Where I think we all probably feel like Avatar State. I think we probably feel similarly, ish at least. Chris, I always disagree with your argument in the Avatar State that, man, once Korra separates from her past lives, I don't give her the benefit of the X+1 anymore. I just,
No, that no longer is a thing because she
yeah,
doesn't
so
have
I
it.
don't, so
But
to me
my
that's
thing at
not an
that point,
argument because
no, but
that's
my
peak
no, I
Korra.
don't, and I don't use it for that argument. I use whenever I'm talking about like Korra with the past lives. Because in my video, I break down the different scenarios. One scenario where she still has linked to past lives. To me, that's just math. X+1 is always greater than
Yeah,
X.
well, and
When she doesn't have,
I'm a futures guy. I
yeah,
get
and
that.
so when she doesn't have the past lives, instead of that math, the thing that to me sets her apart is that if you look at Rava, right, when Wan fused with Rava, she was tiny, tiny Rava, and her size and Vatu size are like, and it correlates with their power, right? When one is strong, the other is weak, and it's a seesaw. When that same Rava was fused with all the avatars until it was ripped from Korra, and then Korra defeated Vatu, and Vatu was vanquished, which
Mm-hmm.
means Rava's power is now here. It's the strongest it ever is and can be because Vatu was vanquished. And that Rava is the one that Korra is fused with. And that's why her avatar state, I think, can still rival what her avatar state was before.
I agree with that point, or that point's more impactful to me. I'm saying I feel like if you got to lean into one angle or the other, right? It seems like the latter angle. It seems like later Korra is better Korra even without past lives to me, right? That's the core.
I think
That's
so.
peak
Her
Korra to
feet,
me.
yeah.
I see, Chris. I see what you're
But
saying about the more Rava thing. However, couldn't one argue that 10,000 years of Avatar experience kind of levels that
so
out?
it's a good point. It's hard to it's hard to quantify like what percent of the avatar's state's power come from the past lives and what comes from Rava,
Right.
right? But we know that Korra's avatar state without past lives is
Mm.
still one of the strongest things ever. She creates one. She's arguably has the greatest feats in the avatar
The
state.
spirit portal is hard to
Um,
top.
yeah, and Aang, like Aang had connection to his past lives when he fought Ozai,
Mm.
even before his avatar state was unlocked. So he had connection to his past lives, but his avatar
Mm.
state was still blocked, which tells me that really the avatar state's power comes from Rava, but the knowledge and stuff is still in there. Granted, Korra doesn't have like the knowledge and stuff, but she has the power. She has more power of Rava. And then when I think about knowledge and wisdom, I think about this quote from Yang Chen where she's like, you could. She's talking to Kyoshi. She's like, you could ask all your thousands of lives and their 10,000 years of living of like what's best to do, and you wouldn't have any clue. Like, what is that knowledge really? It is worth something, but when I think about just raw power, I think it comes mostly from Rava rather than the past lives.
But does
Past
it
lives
bug?
do provide some, but I could just see in my head Rava the is where that cosmic energy comes from. That is what is drawing. That's what the Avatar State's power is drawing from. It's I guess it's open.
But does it bug
Okay.
anybody else that she has two spirit portals on the poles and she just opens one just smack dab somewhere else? And now, like, does that weight the world different? How does that work?
I've thought about that a
Does
lot,
does the
actually.
gravitational
Just a
pull
random-
is the gravitational pull different?
It bugs me every time, man.
Honestly,
And
I think it does disrupt the planet
Yeah,
a
no,
little
it-
bit on
she-
some level.
Chris, she didn't save the world; she ruined it. It's in it's
She
like
made
an
it.
ice
That's
age right now.
But maybe that's why the airbenders got because they had to balance it out, right? So then
Yeah.
other random energies came in.
It
I'm
all
making up
messed
stuff.
up.
And
Yeah,
balanced out the universe.
Oh, so she,
Anyway,
there's
back
a north one and there's a south one. She made like a random east portal, and there's no west portal.
and now it's like a gyroscope. It
Ooh.
spins all over the. It's messed up, man.
Yeah.
To the original question, though, in that we're
Yeah.
saying in a tiebreaker.
It's
I hate doing this because I don't like the incongruity of our first place team as we've established losing, but I am going to take Team Korra because I think those elements that we were missing from Team Aang that we have with Team Korra is going to be enough to overcome just the power of Kelsung, the well trained factor of I don't see him being able to overcome lightning bending, lava bending, Tenzin.
it's the I'm most worried about the lightning bending. Like lava bending, I think they could work through that, right?
They could
They can
literally
try-
flip the field though with lava bending and lightning bending together, I suppose.
lightning bending is just it's so quick and it can be so direct. Like he could take out Hadon in like not that long, and now you're like, oh, now it's 4 against 3.
And none of
Alright,
them
what
have
do we
officially
do?
survived it or redirected it or been shot by it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Mako could be
lightning
there.
bending is
couldn't-
like, oh,
couldn't
hey,
Gensu
you put
do the same thing.
Huh?
Couldn't the Gravedigger, couldn't he take out Bolin just as quick as lightning bending?
You know, he would have to, right? The whole match would
Yeah.
he would be the saver of the matches, like knowing who to hit first before shit got
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
he would probably be like, hey, everybody, take out that freaking lightning bender. I don't Quirk, you deal with the Avatar, but we all need to focus our stuff on the.
We gotta hit
I
him
can see-
first.
Yeah, I can see Jianju being like, holy crap, we took out Hadon already? And then being like, take out him. Don't worry about the other ones. Focus your attack on Mako. And I think if they did that, they could win.
I think
with-
if Janju
with some-
doesn't know in advance, they've like already lost, right? If he doesn't know in advance that Mako is a great lightning bender, then they're gonna lose, right? Because you can't just like, hey, now I suddenly got to shift all of our attention over here. Like Bolin's still not like he's not absent, you know.
Well, I'm saying you shift your attention, but the way you do it, and I might be just completely overestimating all of this stuff. You do it in a sly way, right? You're like, all right, we're fighting. You're like, we're purposely maneuvering ourselves. Like, yeah, I'm fighting you 1v1, and he's fighting him 1v1, but we're purposely like we have an end game to come to a head, and then boom, we take out Mako. And now we're more evenly matched here. You
Yeah.
take out the person that can turn this whole fight on his head. Now we just got to focus on Quirk. You take Korra. In fact, he probably doesn't go straight to the Avatar state because you want to kind of save that. Neither one of them probably wants to go straight to the Avatar state.
Savor it.
That's
It's a fun tiebreaker, but I'm gonna lean.
that's a very
Korra.
interesting. That's probably the most interesting battle royale.
Yeah, which is amazing that
Didn't
it didn't
any other
happen
ones
at
talk
all.
about?
Yeah.
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 Not to throw another. Oh, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Chris.
No, you go
I
ahead.
have a not to throw a monkey into the wrench into this wrench, but or wrench into the, whatever it's called. What's the phrase? This team Korra to me is the team Korra because you have Vera thrown into the mix, and I think that that's a whole nother conversation.
That'd be vicious. I would take. Yeah, I'd
But
love to have Kavira over Bolin any day.
I feel like that mix of a team avatar is a little insane. That's like a interesting sticking point to have Kuvira added to that.
Yeah, it is.
I would say this: I could see Team Korra being more overwhelmed than Team Quirk as a whole. Like for some reason in my head, I just imagine Bolin being like, "We got tornadoes, guys! Guys, what do we do?" And none of them are strategists.
No, they're not. They're not working together like that. No, that's true.
Yeah.
They're not a well-refined political machine. But that being said, like I said, I don't want that to be incongruous with our official.
But
choice.
I would take Team Quirk in an all-out battle.
Nice. Theo, your final.
As far, yeah. So it's tough for me because I don't know who wins between Korra and Kuruk. Don't know. But I'm gonna go with the team that is best performing as a unit. So I'm gonna go with Kuruk.
That's a solid choice. And Team Korra, for the record, is the actual champ prior even to this matchup. And so, hey, great idea. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging in for the long haul. It was a long recording.
How long was this recording? Like 40, 50 minutes?
This one's 50 minutes, and man, I still got to post these things before I go to bed. But yeah, no, great idea. Thanks for joining. Theo, thanks for the ideas, everybody. And listen, if you're fans of Avatar Roku, just put it down in the chat what his team looked like. Tell us what they did. Avatar,
make up a team.
Avatar
Yeah,
Rozukin.
no friends.
Let us know what Avatar Rozukin does. And no, but what was?
Oh, you know what? I guess he technically would. I mean, if you look at his teachers, right?
I'm sure he has them.
If he no, he does. We see his teachers. I know nothing about them, but you know, I think one is named Soot, maybe his Earthbending teacher. Anyway,
yeah,
not important.
That doesn't mean just because you have those teachers. I don't know that actually means that they're
It doesn't.
though.
True.
In my head canon, it would be great if Roku had no team. He was just on his own.
Korra's Firebender teacher was some weird old guy who was like wouldn't even let her go to festivals and stuff.
Yeah. No, thanks for joining us. Let us know your opinions down in the chat. I'll put all of Theo's information, which Theo, when we're done here, if you don't mind, shoot me what you want in the description, YouTube channel and or other social. And we'll put all that in the description, and then give us all likes and comments and subs if you're willing. We'd really appreciate that. Otherwise, we appreciate you listening at all. Thank you very much. And guys, I'll see you both later. Have a good one.
Time to go to bed.
Yeah.
That was such a long episode. I mean, it was not. We used to do longer episodes, I feel like. But well, that third one was pretty short.
Yeah. Yeah, the third one
I normally stay up.
was easy.
I normally stay up to like 1, so it's nothing.